Hare Krishna. I think you didn't expect me to come on time so early, but here I am. Hari Bol and Hare Krishna. Hope all of you are doing fine and you are reveling and floating in realizations from Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so quickly recap with me something that we did in the last session. Let's see, where are you while others join up? Recap and tell me from the last session, what do you remember? Hello, am I being heard? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Like we were speaking about the personal and the impersonal aspect. Arjuna is asking question, which is the highest form of worship? What happens to the people who are worshipping the personal form, and what happens to the people who are worshipping the impersonal aspect?
Yes. Right. Thank you. What else? What else did we reflect on? Anything else we reflected on, you remember?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes, again.
You were telling, like Krishna is telling his 200 form is more special and it is the topmost than the 400 form or the universal form of Lord.
That's on the conclusion of the 11th chapter.
Yes.
Yeah. So can I check out why is it Arjuna is putting up this first question, whether to worship you in your impersonal form or to worship you in your personal form after seeing the Vishwarupa? Why is it he coming up with this question about impersonalism?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, because he gets scared seeing this Vishwarupa form.
Yeah, he felt scared seeing the Vishwarupa form. But how does it make him jump into a question about impersonalism? You see the sequence? I think we went into that last time. Anybody want to take a...
Maharaj, in 11th chapter, verse 55, it is said, pure devotional service free from contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation. And he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, then certainly comes to me. So here he emphasizes on the pure devotional service compared to the other paths. So maybe to elaborate on that, Arjuna is specifically asking this question in the beginning of 12th chapter.
Okay. Yes, somewhere. See, I want you to... Thank you, Shivakumar. Yeah, go ahead.
It is a long process.
Which is a long process?
This worshipping the unmanifested form of the Lord.
Okay. Okay, that is... I think they're talking about Brahman, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes,
all
this is about
pervading.
Brahman. Yes, Brahman realization. Okay, please connect. You see how universal form has led to a question on impersonalism. It's interesting, isn't it? And universal form, like you pointed out, is a form that he is afraid of. It's not very friendly. It's not very friendly. Doesn't reciprocate with you. Right? We have to use the word it sometimes because we don't know what it is. There was fear and there was reversal in Arjuna's roles, and there was amazement, there was opulence, there was strength and fury, power. All these things are not relatable to Arjuna, are not relatable. So awe-inspiring and all these powerful things are not relatable. So the question he asks immediately is, what about impersonal thing? Is it relatable? What do you think your impersonal feature you have? No. What about that? Is that better than this impersonal form? Is that relatable? Or like I related with you in your two-handed form, I feel very saumya rupam, he says that. Is that better? See how it is cropping up? And then Krishna very categorically states, no. You must understand that your personal, my personal form, I think is most important. If you remember, you see, let's go ahead with this summarization again. You know, chapter 11, Arjuna, my doubts are dispelled, you're very great, etc. He says, and says, show me that, the visual form of that. You remember that? I told you it's an audio-visual thing. 10th chapter is audio and 11th chapter is visual. So Krishna gives him Divya Chakshu. And he says, you can't see this with ordinary eyes. And he shows him his amazing, baffling, fearful, fantastic, universal form. And after that, Arjuna, he wants to know many things. He says, you know, oh my gosh, I did not know you're like this. Forgive me for my offenses. Who are you? What's your mission? Etc. etc. He starts asking all sorts of questions which he normally will never ask to Arjuna. And Krishna replies, I am the destroyer of them. Kalo asmi. I have come to, you know, finish all these people. Then Arjuna finally says, you know, please stop. Show your four-handed form to me. And Krishna reveals the four-handed form. And then after that, Krishna shows him his two-handed beautiful form and says, this is Sudur Darshanam. This Shamasundara Krishna form is the original form. It's even the Devas are eager to see it. Then the 12th chapter opens up with question about personalism and impersonalism. Which one is better in worship? And Krishna goes ahead and says, you know, personal form of the Lord is better. The impersonal form is worship, is painful, not recommended by me. Although it is there. If you like it, you can do it. But since you asked the question, I want to tell you that the impersonal form is not very much recommended. This is Krishna saying, categorically, you must fix your mind on my personal form and always engage in worshiping me. And that I think is most perfect. Then we know, we also saw this, that Krishna has got a personal feature, which means the absolute truth has got a personal feature, a localized Paramatma feature, and a Brahman all-pervading feature. This is what is being spoken by Arjuna and asked, this Brahman feature of the Lord, unmanifested form of the Lord, many people worship this. Is this better, or worshipping you in your personal feature is better? For which Krishna categorically says personal feature is better. Definitely. And then he comments on the Brahman feature by saying that the Brahman feature is, very, very painful. And then he also goes to says, hey, tva aksharamanirdesyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam sanniyam mendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayah ye prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite ratah. Okay. Please go ahead. Shivakumar, can you read this translation that's on the screen?
Yes, Maharaj. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me.
Thank you. So these are the characteristics of the Brahman and the characteristics of persons who actually, and what they do, who worship this Supreme Brahman. He's saying, at last only they achieve me. And that in the purport you see Prabhupada is saying, if you go to this chapter 12, text 3 and 4, purport, you will see that Prabhupada is quoting another verse from Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevam sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. You see, those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead Krishna, but to attempt to achieve the same goal by an indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal, Sri Krishna. After many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudeva is all. Right? So this worship is secondary to the personal worship. Personal worship is greater, far superior than worshipping the Brahman, than worshipping the unmanifested. But you will see, most of the people, Hindus, will actually, if you ask them, speak impersonal philosophy. They will actually tell you the Supreme is formless, unmanifested, is beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, sarvam kalvidam Brahman, inconceivable, means you can't think about it, unchanging, fixed, immovable, all these are about the absolute. And naturally, absolute truth, one of the features, Brahman will have some of these general qualities of the absolute truth anyway. That is, achalastam, kutastam, achalam, achintyam, kutastam, achalam, dhruvam, all these things are characteristics of the Brahman. Right? That is something nice only. Why? Because it is beyond matter. Brahman is spirit. Brahman is the all-pervading spiritual energy of the Lord. And it's the Jyoti of the Lord, the rays coming from, the effulgence coming from the Lord. Isopanishad, 15th mantra, it says very clearly, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukam Tattvam pushan apabranu satya dharmaya drishtaye. It says that, oh my Lord, your dazzling effulgence is covering the face of yours. Please remove this dazzling effulgence. Let me have your satya dharmaya drishtaye. Let me have a darshan of you. That is the shloka in the Upanishad, Isopanishad. Please allow me to have darshan of you by removing your effulgence. So another understanding is that light, the effulgence from the Lord is also Brahman. Everything that comes from the Lord will be spiritual only. So the Brahman effulgence rays of the Lord is also spiritual, right? So in this way, we can understand the qualities of Brahman. In many other places in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking about Brahman. If you achieve the stage of Brahman, you will be very happy, you will be self-satisfied, all that. But to achieve that state is a very difficult process. And then to achieve that state, after to stay stable there also is not sure. You will not be stable there. That's also mentioned in the Bhagavat. So that also is stated here by Prabhupada. So to get to there, it is mentioned here that you will control your various senses, you'll be equally disposed to everybody, and you'll be engaged in the welfare of all these things you have to do. Many things. This is what people think is Hinduism. If you go to Hinduism, you will see this is their definition. You can worship any god you want. Finally, anyway, you'll come to the impersonal Brahman. Everything is become Saguna Brahman, but actually he is Nirguna Brahman. It doesn't have any qualities, all these things. So, actually, it is different from the way people understand it. Saguna, Nirguna means different. Saguna means it's not that Brahman takes material gunas and gets a material body. That's how they are explaining it. That is wrong. The Lord is nirmaterial guna, but he is spiritual guna. He has got so many spiritual qualities, but his Brahman feature may not have those personal qualities. It has got limited qualities, like you see here, achintyam, kutastam, achalam, dhruvam, and all that. But absolute truth has got a lot of personal qualities when you look at the Bhagavan feature. when you look at the Paramatma feature also. Okay, especially Bhagavan feature. So such persons will at last only achieve me, means my person feature. Okay, that comment is being made here, and I want to tell you, entire Hinduism, mostly people will speak about this only. Polytheism, worshipping many different gods, is what Christians and Muslims will accuse you of normally. You guys wanted to tell me about one God. So many gods you worship, say you are God, you will merge into God, everything is God. Pantheism, polytheism, all sorts of things, Hindus will speak about. Actually, they don't have a proper understanding of who God is. They got so many different philosophies, they're mixed together, and inside they're not also convinced. And if you ask them, they'll say Hinduism is a way of life. It's not a religion. It means you can interpret it the way you want. You can do what you want with it, like clay putty in your hands, like kids play with. You can make any form, any image, anything you want and do anything. It's very flexible. It's a way of life. It is wrong. It is just a convenient explanation. All these type of explanations about Hinduism and all happened only in recent times, because of the Britishers, and at that time their influence and westernization and colonization brought a reaction from Hindus in India, especially people like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Bipin Chandra Pal, Aurobindo, Vivekananda. All of them were one section of people at that time. They were fighting for independence for India, and they at the same time absorbed certain values from the Britishers. They wanted to westernize and become great and all that. If you look like at Raja Ram Mohan Roy, was like the father of this modern Hinduism. He's the founder of this modern Hinduism. He's the one who wrote to the Britishers saying that, what is the use of Sanskrit in the schools? Please teach us English. Please teach us the science and the physics and the new scientific discoveries and technology and everything. With that only we can get some money. Sanskrit will not help us in any way. It shows that he has been influenced by the Western thought. He has become feeling inferior, that our Vedic system of thought and philosophy will not help us. So he is the one who first formulated this type of mixed Western thinking, plus at the same time wanting to be a Hindu. He took pride in being a Hindu, but he messed up the philosophy and the understanding, right? And you'll see even today, many of us follow that type of Hinduism, because nobody taught us what is really mentioned in the Gita. And here you can see in the shloka, Krishna is defeating that idea of Hinduism. If you read very carefully, you will come to know about it. So these few shlokas from 1 to 7 are very important to know. Popularly, Hinduism is what this is, and Krishna is defeating it. And he's saying, no, better than this is to directly worship me in bhakti. Directly worship me in devotion. I have a transcendental form, Sachitananda. I'm showing it to you, this two-handed form of mine, which I say is Sudur Darshanam, very difficult to see. Okay, so you must keep this in mind. And then next he goes again in the 5th shloka to say, Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavad piravapyate. Okay, Jaya Nair, can you read that?
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
Thank you, Jaya.
Thank you, Maharaj.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, that is to this Brahman feature of the absolute truth, that is the impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement in spiritual life is very troublesome. And why people, Hindus, are talking about this when Krishna himself is defined, you don't do it, it's very difficult. Klesha adhikataras tesham avyaktahi gatir dukkham. He's using the word dukkham. It's painful, it'll give you trouble. To make progress in the difficult in discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied, who have a body. Right? Means who have a form. For them to be attached to the formless is a difficult job. Right? Don't do it is what Krishna is saying. And look at people, what they do. They do exactly what Krishna is telling you not to do. Isn't that really, it's really funny? Right here, openly, blatantly, Krishna is saying, don't do it, it's difficult. Whole Hinduism is a difficult process. Nobody is really understanding who is God. So they get converted into Christianity to Muslims, become Muslims. This is exactly what's happening. Because you're not following what Krishna is telling. Krishna is telling, don't do that. Very difficult for you to understand the absolute. But on the contrary, you will see in the Quran and in the Bible, it speaks about one personal, wonderful God who has got all wonderful qualities. And they are worshipping that one God. And they're asking, why you guys are worshipping so many gods here? And your own God, if they read the Bhagavad Gita, they will know, has told you not to do it. Don't worship my impersonal feature. And you guys are touting that only to everybody. Can you see this? So it takes a pure devotee like Prabhupada to come forward and say, this is what is Krishna's teaching. He is asking you to focus on his personal form. He has a form, it is transcendental form. And he's actually asking you to worship that form, to relate with that form, to offer to that form. And then in the purport, Prabhupada is saying it involves, you may go to the shop, you may see in text 2. What is Bhakti Yoga, he's saying. In the purport, can you read it? Shiba, can you read the purport to text 2?
Just Hare Krishna Maharaj. Shall I read the purport? It's a small
purport.
portion. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities because everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is a full samadhi. Hare Krishna
Yes.
Maharaj.
Thank you. This is what is a simple relationship building with Krishna. It has everything as an offering to Krishna. Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat johosi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi, kaunteya, tat kurushva, madarpanam. Krishna gave this advice. Exactly, Prabhupada is speaking about it practically. Whatever you do it as an offering to me. You connect yourself to me. A bhakti yogi, he will keep dedicating all his actions to Krishna. I'm doing this for you, Krishna. I'm cooking for you. I'm going to the marketplace to buy food stuff so that I can cook for you in love and devotion, so that I can offer it to you. I'm building up this temple so that I would like to see you placed in a beautiful place and worshipped in style. Please allow me to do that. So he's always doing, everything can be turned around as a service to Krishna, right? So that is what is Bhakti Yoga. It is the easier thing to do, more natural, far, far more natural to do. To do impersonal worship is very difficult and unnatural. All right? That is a small point you want to understand. So, simple summary of the things that Krishna is saying. Process of Bhakti Yoga is better and simple to perform. Path of impersonal realization is fraught with many difficulties and is miserable and troublesome. The impersonalists in the end comes to know me. After all the exercise he does and practices and all the gymnastics he will do, finally he'll say, forget it. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. And such a person who concludes like that is also very rare. Samahatma Sudurlabha. Sudurlabha means very rare. Such a great soul who goes through this impersonal exercise and then comes out of it finally say, "Pah, I had enough. I think Vasudeva is everything. Let me focus on that." That fellow is also very rare. So most people get embroiled in this impersonalism, for too long, and very rarely somebody gets out of it. This is the nature of impersonalism, and you'll see Hinduism is mostly dealing with impersonalism, which is discussed here in the 12th chapter as being inferior to direct Bhakti Yoga. Okay? So Bhakti Yoga and impersonalism is discussed by Krishna and Arjuna in answer to Arjuna's question. Then Krishna says conclusively, but against these things which an impersonalist wants to do, and which I'm advising you not to do, ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha ananyena yogena mam dhyayantu upasate tejamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha maya veshita chetasam. It's a very beautiful shloka. Next, that Krishna speaks about Neelam. Neelam, can I ask you to read this translation on the screen?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah.
But those who worship me, those who worship me, giving up all the activities up to me, being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotion. Maharaj, my iPad is not working properly.
But you're doing good. Go ahead.
Engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pratha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Thank you,
Yes.
Maharaji, but sorry, my
You
iPad
did
is
it.
not working.
You did it. That's the meaning of saying having fixed your minds upon me. While
Thank
you were
you.
reading there, you did it. Don't give up at any time. Keep doing it.
Thank you.
You did it. Thank you. So, in comparison to what Krishna spoke till now about impersonalists and impersonal worship, he doesn't decry it. He doesn't say useless, forget it, dump it. No, it's his feature, his impersonal feature. The absolute truth has got a personal feature which is far more superior to the impersonal feature. Okay, remember this. But he's saying, in comparison, those who worship me in bhakti, giving up all their activities unto me, being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, for them I am the swift deliverer, much faster than the impersonal person. Right? He's saying, Mrityu samsara sagarat, from the ocean of birth and death. Bhavamina achirat partha maya veshita chetasam. If you go to the word-to-word meaning, and you will see chirat, na chirat, there is a meaning to it. If you go to the word-to-word meaning in text 6 and 7, you will see, what is it? Chirat. After a long time, it says na chirat, means very soon. Bhavami na chirat partha maya veshita chetasam. Right? So it is quick, much faster. This is proof of the fact that Bhakti Yoga is simpler, faster, quicker, more natural. To be in love with God is very natural. To be in love with your Supreme Father is very natural. And it just reviving that is the easiest thing to do. Okay? So here is Krishna's guarantee. If you worship me, I'll quickly deliver you. And you should not take these things very lightly, simply as some statements that you have to just chant or something. These are guarantees given by Krishna. If you become my devotee and you start worshipping me and you start doing devotional service to me, thinking about me, I will swiftly deliver you from this ocean of material world. Samsara Sagarat, right? I'll quickly deliver you. Remember this. That is why you will see great devotees of the Lord will tell you, forget everything, just chant Hare Krishna and just give yourself to Krishna and become his devotee, fall in love with Krishna. That's all you need to know. That's the end of the entire Shastra. The whole Vedic literature is trying to tell you, please fall in love with God. Please fall in love with the personal feature of God. You have such a capacity and do it. God is lovable, he is relatable, he is very relevant to you. This is the simple thing coming out. We understand theory a lot, no doubt. We are getting to understand theory. But you must understand, this is what Krishna is actually telling you. He's trying to help you. And he's trying to explain to you in very simple terms. Because from 8 onwards, he'll explain, so how you can do that. See, and he'll give you various choices also. He's so broad in his offer to you. In case you think you cannot fully do it, Arjuna, doesn't matter you do it in installments, make one small attempt. You'll see in text 8, he's saying, Mayyeva manadatsva, Mayye buddhim niveshaya, nevasishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshaya. Whatever he has said in text 6 and 7, which is on the screen, in case you're not able to fully do it, you can partially do it also. He comes to the next level and next level and next level and next level and next level. He gets, if you can't do 100% of it, can you do 80%? Then he goes on to say, can you do 70%? Can you do 60? Can you do 50? Can you do 40? He goes down like that and says, anywhere you start, it will lead you up to the 100%. Bhakti Yoga is such that you start doing a little bit of it, quickly you will come up to the 100% of it. He gives you an amazing explanation, the 12th chapter. And he glorifies that person who does it and comes fully to surrender to me. Even you make a little attempt in this direction is the best thing to do. Forget impersonal thing, forget jnani, forget karmi, forget karma, yoga, forget all jnana, all these things. Simply do a little bit of devotional service. You have a heart, you have feelings, you have emotions, you are a personality, right? Start relating, using all those things as a person to me. I'm waiting for you. This repeatedly comes up throughout Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is asking for a relationship with you. He's petitioning it in different ways. And he's being very broad. Doesn't matter. You can also be a yogi. Doesn't matter. You can be also a karmi if you want. But from there, you could get back to me like this. So, but when people read the Bhagavad Gita and preach Hinduism the way they are doing it, and they say Gyan is everything, and they say yoga is everything, then they say karma, duty is everything. All that is definitely yes. But Krishna, in comparison to that, keeps on talking about pure bhakti. If you don't catch that point, you miss the whole Bhagavad Gita. So when you read the Bhagavad Gita, if you start glorifying, doing your duty is the greatest thing mentioned by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, it is wrong. Acquiring knowledge is the greatest thing by reading Bhagavad Gita, that is wrong. If you read the 12th chapter, you know, he's pounding on you and said, whatever it is, even if you do it wrong also, you're right. He's saying that, no. He's saying that later you will see that even if you don't execute bhakti properly and you make mistakes in it also, you're on right track. You must understand the nature of how Krishna is explaining devotional service in the 12th chapter. Exclusively. You worship only me. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake also. You will be successful. But if you do this half compromise stuff like, Ashtanga yoga or karma or jnana, which is not focused on me directly, but it's focused on knowledge, focused on yoga and mysticism, and focused on something, you will lose it. Because there, if you make mistakes, nobody will help you. The laws there are different. But in Bhakti and in Bhakti Yoga path, I am personally involved. It's a personal relationship. I'll pick you up and make you learn how to walk, and I'll put you and make you study personally. That's why he's saying, I will take part in swiftly delivering. I will personally take part in swiftly delivering you if you relate with me in Bhakti. You should note these words. I am the swift deliverer for that person because I personally take part. Right? But in all these other processes, you won't see the supreme absolute truth personally coming in its personal feature and helping you out. Note this very carefully. This is an offer only for Bhakti yogis. It's not an offer for karma yogis. It's not an offer for all of those type of people. Okay? Very important to note. This is real Bhagavad Gita. This is real Bhagavad Gita. You may be wondering why Maharaj is pounding it and, throwing it on us repeatedly. But this is all Bhagavad Gita is about. It's about falling in love with Krishna. And every time Arjuna asks a question, he explains it and say, but if you do this, this is nothing. It takes care of everything. But everywhere Arjuna asks about karma, about jnana, about yoga, he will explain that and then he will say, but if you become my devotee, all this is taken care of. But if you become my devotee, all this is taken care of. He repeatedly keeps saying that in every chapter. If you don't get this message across and if you don't understand it, you are not getting Bhagavad Gita through. That's why when people explain duty and jnana and all that in Bhagavad Gita, it's actually not very important. It's actually not very important. But most people in this world become inclined to all these things. Just like in spite of Bhagavad Gita being spoken, everybody will talk about impersonal liberation. Hinduism is the way of life. It is like this, it is like that. But where is it given it's a way of life in the whole of Bhagavad Gita? You simply cannot explain it like that. Hinduism is not a way of life. It is the way of life. It's not a way of life. And the way of life, Krishna is explaining it here. Bhakti, devotion to me. Bhakti yoga, worship my form. Right? So here in this chapter, it starts with the importance of worshiping Krishna's form over and above impersonal feature. When you worship the form of the Lord, don't think this is not there. Actually, there's only a method of getting to that. No, this is the end. Worshipping that form of the Lord, which you see there in his beautiful, Venam Kwarantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam. Beautiful face, beautiful form, proportionate features, all that is being mentioned. He exists like that only. And he is very beautiful and he is attractive. Give yourself to it. What is wrong? What is wrong? The Lord has got a form. Who told you he doesn't have a form? Where is it mentioned in the whole of Bhagavad Gita? Look at the 11th chapter. It's speaking about form. When the Lord is revealing his universal form, four-handed form, then two-handed form, and telling this is my real form. Difficult to see it. Okay? So Hinduism as it is now is filled with this type of philosophy which Krishna is telling you don't adopt because it's very troublesome. Now you understand why Hinduism is very difficult. People are ritualistically following some things, but even if you beat them up, they'll not give you the real understanding because they don't know. Whereas in Christianity, it's very easy to worship God because they don't have such a big impersonal philosophy that this and the full stuff they don't know about absolute truth. They'll simply say, God, our Father who art in heaven, give me my daily bread. I believe in you. I don't know anybody else but you. So that is why God reciprocates with them. Krishna reciprocates with them because they have some amount of personalism in it. They may be doing a lot of nonsense this way, but they have personalism in it. Even the Quran, It's got personalistic approach. You see, they will pray namaz 5 times a day and very sincerely pray. They're not doing impersonal worship. They're doing personal worship. So they're getting benefit actually. They may be doing sinful activity, but they're doing one form of devotion, which that's why they are becoming stronger. The people don't understand. They may be doing sinful activity by eating meat, that, this, everything. But they are also doing devotional activity 5 times a day. They pay namaz. And they offer this prayer, God, help me. I worship you. They relate with the absolute truth in his personal feature. Yes or no? Now you should see with the full philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, really speaking, Christians are better off as per this 12th chapter. Because they have some inkling of a personal feature. But Hindus are so impersonal in their understanding. And they think they can do anything and everything, and it leads to the same thing. No, it does not. It does not. You will see Prabhupada mentioning that Jesus Christ and Muhammad have done great service to human society. People won't like it. The RSS may not like it, the BJP may not like it. We say this. You have to understand, his statements are completely based on absolute truth. Because he says both of them at least kept a godful society. And many people are making it godless. And in between, the Hindus are coming and making it formless. Godless and formless are very close cousins. It's very close. One more step, you'll become godless. That's why many people become atheistic in Hinduism. Kerala is filled with all sorts of Hindus who speak, almost atheism plus theism on its edge with impersonalism. But rather, if you go and speak this devotional thing to the Christian and the Muslim, he immediately relates to you. They like to hear ISKCON devotees. Hey, these people worship one God and they're speaking about love for God. I was in an interfaith conference with Christians called from all over the world and a lot from India, then with some Sri Vaishnavas who were asked to give a presentation and ISKCON devotees. Then the Christians thought we have to impress them and they came with Sanskrit shlokas and all that. That's very interesting. They came and spoke Sanskrit shlokas and all that, and they were giving a presentation on Christianity. And one of our, organizers said that, thank you so much, because none of us quoted any Sanskrit shloka because we thought we should make it a simple thing to make them understand and bring them forth to a closer understanding. So we all started laughing and they are also finding it very odd that they were referring to Vedic literature and speaking their philosophy. And we said, you see, it's very amazing that you have come to, reinforce what we want to tell you very simply. That personal God and Bhakti, love of God and prema is what the whole scripture of Hinduism is actually speaking about. And they said, we love this paper of yours. It's about love of God. Just called love of God. It strikes a very nice chord with us. But what we've been hearing is always very difficult to digest for us in the philosophy of Hinduism. But Hindu philosophy, impersonal philosophy, is liked a lot by scientists and the Buddhists. The Buddhists love your impersonal philosophy. And the scientists like it because you don't give God much value at all as a personality. So it's damn interesting to study this. Very interesting. That is why in Hinduism, you find that people are bemused and flummoxed, and outside some other culture and religion can come in and convert everybody much more easily. But at the same time, you have such an amazing philosophy, so deep. But you're not touching it deeply. You're taking a very small slice of it and interpreting it wrongly, and then allowing yourself to become a victim of some other westernized thought or a different religion or anything. Why? Because you don't understand it deeply enough. Right? So this 12th chapter is brilliant. Coming from the 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's why we are in the center of the Bhagavad Gita, which I told you is like between two sandwiches, the slices of two bread, the centerpiece. Okay? So we hope that from the next session, we will talk about the alternatives that Krishna is giving, which is very interesting to examine. He's really marketing it. You can see him marketing, please be my devotee, because if you can't do it also, it's okay, do the next. And he'll say, at least you do charity to people. At least be a nice guy, but don't do impersonalism, please, is what he's trying to say. Even if you do the lowest form of this personal worship, it's okay. But don't get stuck in impersonalism. Don't get stuck in karma kanda and doing a fruitive activity. Don't get stuck. He's really trying to protect you. He's really trying to protect you. In other words, I think he's telling you, don't become a Hindu. Become a devotee. Please become a devotee. If you read it very carefully, you will see. You will see that that's what he's trying to do. So Hinduism has lost its personalism aspect. And the Bhagavad Gita, which is so personal, can bring it back. Everything else is so wonderful about this tradition and everything. But the way it is explained as an impersonal feature of the Absolute, being the only feature, that can repel many people away. But Bhakti Yoga can attract many, many people. The people who have got least amount of intellectual ability, the people who have the most intellectual ability, equally will get attracted to Krishna's features. That's the amazing thing. You have mass of people following a bhakti situation in India. They don't know much, but somehow it draws them out of love for Krishna. At the same time, we have intellectual people who become infused with the beautiful, intelligent understanding of how Krishna is, petitioning us to love him. Intellectually, it's explained, and they also love it very much. And everybody in between also has an inclination. We all have an inclination to love the Supreme Father. It's very natural. And you don't need some very great philosophy to understand it. It just has to be evoked. It just has to be enkindled again within you. So that is the petition you will see Krishna making. Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. Any question, any comment? For the next session, I'll start from text 8 onwards and take the alternatives that Krishna is giving. I've been asked to double up. Maharaj, you're taking a long time and you're spending a long time this thing. So I've been asked to double up and finish fast. Because now they asked me to finish the sessions before the Damodara month, October, because we started it in October last year. Because in Damodara month, I'm going to become busy in the evenings almost every day. So maybe there'll be some other alternative type of a thing discussed with you. Subhangi and Duleka will come up with you again. In the meantime, so again, any questions or any comments?